Mortgage rates are falling, rents are rising, and everyone's asking the same question. Should I rent or buy in 2025? This isn't just about interest rates or property prices. It's about lifestyle, it's about values, and it's about long-term freedom. So today we are comparing renting versus buying like never before, with real numbers, real life trade-offs, and even some things you won't hear from mainstream finance channels. Whether you are in London or Leeds, whether you are looking to own your home or avoid interest-based loans altogether, this video is for you. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Muzffar Teja, qualified accountant, investment banker, and your guide to cutting through the noise of finance. Here we don't just talk about money, we talk about building a life of freedom. Think financial systems, smart investing, values-aligned decisions, and wealth-building strategies that actually work. If that's your vibe, make sure you subscribe. Now let's get into it. Let's start with a quick lay of the land. In the UK right now, we have got this strange combination. Mortgage rates are finally falling from nearly 6% last year down to 4.2 to 4.5% depending on your deposit. Rents are still climbing, now averaging 1,332 per month across UK and over £2,000 per month in London. The Bank of England has already made 3 rates cut in the last year and more are expected in 2025. But at the same time, day-to-day living costs, council tax, maintenance, utilities are still high, whether you rent or own. So which path makes more sense right now? Renting or buying? Let's break it down. Now let's talk about buying, something many people dream of, some feel pressured into, and others are genuinely ready for. But in 2025, buying a home isn't just about getting a mortgage. It's about understanding the full financial picture, especially as rates start to come down. Mortgage rates are no longer sky high like they were in 2023-2024. Right now, the average 2-year fixed rate is sitting around 4.2%. And if you are a first-time buyer with a 10% deposit, you will likely be quoted between 4.4-4.6%. Now that might not sound exciting compared to the sub 2% rate of the past, but here is the deal. Every 0.5% drop in your mortgage rate saves you about £70 a month on a 200,000 loan. And with more Bank of England rate cuts expected later this year, those numbers could keep improving. If you have been waiting on the sideline, the window to lock in a deal might just be opening. Slowly but surely. Now let's talk about what you will need upfront. First, your deposit. You can technically get a mortgage with just 5% down, but the better deals start appearing once you hit 10 or 15%. Then comes stamp duty. For first-time buyers, there is no stamp duty to pay on homes up to £425,000. Beyond that, you start paying 2% between 425 and 625, then more above that. And don't forget the extras. You will need around 3 to £5,000 to cover your solicitor, surveyor, mortgage broker if you use one, and maybe even a valuation fee from your lender. So yes, buying takes planning. You don't just need approval, you need liquidity. Once you get the keys, the cost don't stop. Your mortgage payment will depend on your rate and loan size, but expect to pay somewhere between £1,000 to £1,600 per month for a modest property in most parts of the UK. Add in council tax, which averages around £1,770 a year. Though in places like London, it can easily go over £2,000 depending on the property band. Then there is utilities, gas, electric, water, averaging about £1,720 a year even after recent price cap reductions. You will also need building insurance, usually around £20 to £30 per month. And then the sneaky one, maintenance, boilers break, roof leak, doors need replacing. A good rule of thumb is to budget 1% of your property value every year for maintenance. On a £300,000 home, that's £3,000 a year. It's not just about affording the mortgage, it's about running the home. Here is where ownership really shines. Every mortgage payment you make, part of it goes towards paying down your debt. Over time, you build equity, meaning you actually own more and more of your home. You also gain long-term cost stability. While rents can increase every year, your mortgage rate can be fixed for 2, 5, or even 10 years. And once the mortgage is paid off, you have drastically lowered your monthly outgoings. And finally, it's yours. You can decorate, renovate, extend, sublet if it's legal, and truly make the space your own. Buying isn't stress-free. If you take out a variable rate mortgage, your payment could rise unexpectedly. If you need to sell quickly, especially during market downturn, you might lose money after fees. And unlike renting, all maintenance is your problem. The leaky tap, that's you. The cracked tiles, also you. Plus, buying ties you down. If you plan to move within 2 to 3 years for work, family, or lifestyle, renting might be the smarter short-term play. Let's talk about renting, because even though it sometimes gets dismissed as the throwing money away, in 2025 for many people it's a completely valid choice, but only if you understand what you are actually paying for. Across the UK, the average monthly rent has now reached £1,332. But if you are in London, that figure jumps dramatically to around £2,070 per month. And those numbers aren't standing still. Over the last 12 months, rents have risen by roughly 7.7%, outpacing the wage growth in many parts of the country. If that trend continues, the affordability gap between renting and buying could widen even further. Now, the rent itself isn't the only thing you pay when you rent a home. There is also the upfront cost of moving in. Most landlords will ask you a security deposit equal to 5 weeks' rent, plus a holding deposit for 1 week's rent, just to reserve the property while they run background checks. And while most tenancy fees were banned back in 2019, some agents still charge renewal or admin fees, especially if you switch tenants mid-contracts. It's not always a lot, but it's something to watch out for. Once you are settled in, your monthly expenses still stock up. You will be paying council tax just like homeowners do, and the exact amount depends on your local authority and property band. You will also pay for utilities, gas, electricity, water, plus optional extras like content insurance or broadband. The difference, if something breaks, like the boiler or the window, you are not the one footing the repair bill. That's the landlord's job, which can save you thousands over time. There are clear upsides to renting, especially if flexibility matters to you. You can move cities, switch flats, or take a job abroad without worrying about selling a house or breaking a mortgage. There is less financial responsibility, and you are shielded from big unexpected costs like leaking roof or structural issues. And best of all, if property prices crash tomorrow, you don't lose anything because you are not exposed to that asset class. You have got the room to observe the market without being tied to it. But it's not all upside. The biggest drawback of renting is this: you are not building equity. Every pound you spend on rent is gone. It doesn't come back. You don't own anything. Plus, rents are unpredictable. Landlords can raise the rent at renewal or decide to sell the property altogether, forcing you to move often at short notice. You also have less control over your space. Want to paint the wall? Install a dishwasher? Maybe not. Renting means compromise and less long-term security. When we talk about renting or buying, we can't treat the UK as one single market because London is its own universe. Let's compare the two realities side by side. In London, the average rent is now over £2,000 a month and climbing. That's nearly double the national average, which sits around £1,332. In cities like Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds or Glasgow, you can still find good properties in the £900 to £1,300 range. A huge difference in monthly outflow. Buying in London, expect to spend at least £500,000 to £600,000 for a modest flat, more in desirable postcodes. But in the Northwest, Midlands or Scotland, £180,000 to £300,000 can still get you a solid 2 to 3 bedroom house that opens the door to ownership on an average salary, something that's becoming almost impossible in London without a 6-figure income or family help. Council tax in London tends to fall in higher bands, often band E or F, especially in newer developments or larger flats. That can push your bill above £2,000 per year. In the rest of the UK, most people are paying band B to D rates, closer to £1,500 to £1,700 annually. Combine that with the cheaper transport, lower service charges and cheaper groceries in some regions, and the monthly cost gap is real. Yes, London wages are higher, typically 15 to 25% more than the UK average. But those extra earnings often get swallowed by higher rent, travel, and lifestyle costs. And because the cost of buying is so high in capital, many professionals rent for longer, save less, and delay home ownership even while earning more. So while London offers more career and networking opportunities, it also demands more sacrifices. The rest of the UK, lower salaries maybe, but more attainable financial freedom. Let's shift the lens for a moment. Not everyone's watching this is purely focused on numbers. For many people, faith, values, and lifestyle priorities play a huge role in the rent versus buy decision. And one of the most important consideration, interest, or what's known as riba. In Islamic finance, paying or earning interest is not permissible. And since traditional mortgages involve interest, many Muslims and people of other faith with ethical concerns choose to avoid them altogether. That leaves three main paths. Halal home purchase plans offered by Islamic banks like Al Rayyan or Gatehouse. These operates on co-ownership or lease-to-own models and don't involve interest. Shared ownership, where you buy a percentage and pay rent on the rest, not perfect but sometimes used as a stepping stone. Or renting intentionally while saving towards a cash purchase, either solo or through family support. None of these are easy, but they are possible and they align with values that matter. For those avoiding interest, renting isn't a failure, it's a strategy. It allows you to live debt-free, remain mobile, and focus on stewardship, managing your income with intention while staying clear of compromise. And in many cases, renting enables you to save more consistently, invest in halal portfolio, or prepare for opportunities that fit your belief system without rushing into something that feels wrong. There is no obligation in faith to own a home. What matters is stability, peace of mind, and living within your means. If that means renting for now or even long terms, that's still dignified, that's still success. Your value isn't tied to property, it's tied to your intention, your discipline, and your peace of heart. Alright, now that we have seen both sides, let's bring it all together. What does it actually cost you in real world terms to buy versus rent in 2025? Let's take a clear, practical example and break it down. Let's say you are living outside of London, considering a £250,000 home. You have saved up a 10% deposit, which is £25,000, and you are deciding, do I buy or keep renting? If you buy, mortgage at 4.5%, 25-year term, £1,250 per month. Council tax, £150 per month. Utilities, £140 per month. Building insurance, £25 per month. Maintenance, average £200 per month. Yearly buffer. Total monthly cost, £1,765. But remember, a chunk of that mortgage payment goes towards building equity and you are protected from rent hikes. If you rent, average UK rent is £1,332 per month. Council tax, £150 per month. Utilities, £140 per month. Content insurance optional, £10 a month. Total monthly cost, £1,632. Slightly cheaper, yes, but with no equity, no long-term control, and the potential for rent increases every year. In the short term, renting may save you a bit per month, but in the long term, if you stay in one place, buying could save you thousands, even hundreds of thousands over decades, especially if house prices rise or rent continue climbing. The question is, are you ready to commit? Because buying only works if you are financially and emotionally ready to stay put and take responsibility for the home. Let's bring it home. There is no one size fits all answer here. Renting isn't wasted money and buying isn't always a smart investment. It depends on your life stage, location, risk, tolerance, values, and financial readiness. You might want to rent if you plan to move within the next 2 to 3 years. You are still saving for a solid deposit or want to avoid a mortgage payment altogether. Flexibility is more important to you than building equity. Your income is unstable or still growing. Renting gives you freedom, lower commitment, and time to plan without rushing into debt. You might want to buy if you are planning to stay put for at least 5 to 7 years. You've got a decent deposit, ideally 10% plus. You want to protect yourself from rent hikes and take control of your space. You see home ownership as part of your long-term wealth plan. Buying gives you stability, asset building, and eventually ownership with no rent or mortgage at all. For some, buying a home isn't just a financial move, it's a cultural milestone, a sign of stability, a way to provide security for your family. But remember, cultural pressure should never override financial wisdom. It's okay to rent if buying would break you. It's okay to wait. It's okay to choose your own timeline. You're not behind, you are being intentional. The housing market is shifting, rates are falling, rents are rising. And whether you rent or buy in 2025, the smartest move is the one that keeps your head clear, your finances strong, and your values intact. As always, take your time, ask questions, run the numbers, speak with advisors if you need to, but don't let noise rush you into a decision that shapes your future. Let clarity lead you, the rest will follow. If you have made it this far, you are already ahead of most, because this isn't just about rent versus buy. It's about taking control of your money, your mindset, and your future. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to give you clarity so you can decide what works best for your life. If this video helped, please drop a like, leave your question below, and share this with someone who's on the fence about renting or buying. This is Mr. Financial Mindset. I'm Muzffar Teja, reminding you, you weren't born to pay bills and die. You were born to build freedom.